Hey there, welcome to the latest episode of the Sexy Thyroid Solution. I'm your host, Angela Brown. So today I want to talk about thyroid diet for weight loss in women. But first, if you could do me a really big favor, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and hit the little bell so that you get a notification every Thursday when I release my new video. And if you're watching this on Instagram or on Facebook, like this and share this information. Take someone who you think would benefit from this. So let's go ahead and dive into this topic today. I get asked all the time, particularly because I work with so many women with thyroid dysfunction, is what do I eat? I don't know what to eat. I don't know how to lose weight or just feel good with my thyroid. What do I eat? So I thought I would do a video about this topic because, again, I get asked so frequently about this. So one of the big things to always keep in mind is you're individual. So just because this certain way of eating style is working for your cousin or your best friend, maybe even your mom or someone like that, if it's working for them, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. I'm giving you information based off of my own personal experience with having a slow thyroid and what I have seen work for my clients. So one of the biggest things that I have people look at when it comes to trying to eat healthier for their thyroid is, first of all, you have to eat clean, okay? And I know people hate hearing that, but when it comes to thyroid function, the thyroid can get really bogged down when it's being fed crap food. And I'm even including alcohol in this. So your thyroid is your master gland. It kind of controls everything. So if your main goal, which a lot of women, it is their main goal, is weight loss, you have to stop feeding it crap food. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know you've probably heard this over and over, but your metabolism cannot correct itself if you're constantly feeding it crap food. Eating 90% of the time pretty damn clean, that's pretty good. Okay, I'll take that. But if only 50% of the time you're eating healthy, it's going to be pretty difficult to lose weight based off of what your thyroid's doing. It just isn't going to be happy with that. Now, when you're in your 20s, you can get away with it. The older you get, the more it doesn't work that way. And your thyroid will end up paying the price. So years down the road, it's going to be even harder to lose that weight. So you have to eat clean. So stop eating the sugar, things with gluten, really focus on vegetables and protein, things like that. So cleaner sources of food, less processed food. Things like that are going to really tell your thyroid to slow down. Something else to consider is how much protein are you actually getting in? So your thyroid actually needs a pretty good amount of protein. And a lot of women that come to me when I start having them log their food for me, track things, tell me what they're eating so that I can get a better feel for what's going on with them, they're probably only getting maybe 20% of their caloric intake from protein. You need at least 40%. When it comes to your thyroid and you're really trying to speed your metabolism up, you got to have at least 40% of protein. It's really, really hard to do that for some women. So there's tricks that I go over with in my Sexy Thyroid Solution program that I do. We really dive in. We have a whole module just on eating, and I go into way more in depth about what you can do protein-wise to make sure that you're getting that in. But you have to get protein in. It's absolutely essential. The amino acids and everything in protein are really, really good for you. So highly, highly suggest that you kind of go that route with getting more protein in. And if you have more questions with that, obviously you can reach out to me and we can kind of chat a little bit about what are some tips and tricks that you can do to kind of help with this. The other thing is what carbohydrates are you eating? So carbs get a really bad rap, especially when it comes to thyroid. And there's so much misinformation out there now about thyroid function pertaining to carbohydrates. You have your ketogenic diet, you have your low carb diet, all that jazz, and people really go gangbusters with it and think it's going to solve their thyroid issue. And essentially, I've seen it work really, really well for people, very short term though. And that's the part where you're not seeing enough information about what it's doing to you long term. And long term, I haven't seen anybody do very well on a low carb ketogenic diet for their thyroid. If you already have a slow thyroid, taking those carbohydrates out can actually cause a lot of damage. You do not want to take out those carbohydrates. You actually need carbohydrates. What carbs am I talking about? Not the crap carbs, okay? We're talking about starchier carbs, potatoes, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, those sorts of things that are going to be like good nourishing vegetables / slash starches, those are the ones that you really need to focus on for your thyroid function, and they help with your adrenals. And the thyroid and adrenals are so interconnected. We've talked about this before. There's such an interconnection there. So going too low carb, when you're in a state where your metabolism is kind of slow, that's going to wreak havoc. Now, I'm not saying every single person should eat carbohydrates and have potatoes and sweet potatoes and all that jazz. I'm just pertaining this to if you know you have a slow thyroid, if you know you have a slow metabolism, it's pretty unlikely that throwing yourself into a low carbohydrate diet or a ketogenic diet is actually going to help you. In the end, it will end up kind of hurting you. And like I said, from my experience, I've seen this over and over. It happens all the time to women. So I would be very, very cautious with doing something like that. You need to really watch that carbohydrate intake. And obviously you don't want to overdo it because your blood sugar can go a little crazy. But there is kind of this happy medium where you do need to get in some carbohydrate sources because, you know, you're going to need it. Your thyroid and your adrenals absolutely need this. So have you actually ever tried calorie cutting? That's my question. Is I know so many people that cut calories drastically because their metabolism is slow and it doesn't work and ends up like backfiring on them. So let me know too. Have you ever cut calories? I have. I've done it way too many times, more than I actually care to admit. I've done it a lot years and years ago, and finally, you know, took a long time to finally realize that that wasn't the trick. But let me know too, have you ever done that before? So what about fat content? Fat content is a tricky one. So this is part of the reason why I'm not a huge proponent of doing a ketogenic diet if you know you already have a slow thyroid. So your fat has 9 calories per gram, and protein and carbohydrates has 4. So if you do the numbers and you do the math, it takes a lot more to burn that fat off. Whenever you start consuming a really high fat diet, it's going to be a little bit harder to burn that off as compared to like the carbohydrates and the protein. If your metabolism is really slow, that can kind of wreak havoc. So be very careful with doing a super high fat diet unless you know that, you know, you might need to lose weight just because you've overindulged, not because your thyroid is slow. But if you do have a slow thyroid and you know that this is an issue, then be a little cautious with overindulging the fat content. Doing a high fat ketogenic diet might not work for you. So how do you know? How do you know which way to go? How do you know what eating style is better for you? That's why I do the hair tissue testing. On the hair tissue testing, it looks at all your minerals, even metals, but based off of what the minerals show can literally tell me what kind of eating style do you need. If your minerals are a certain way, it can tell me you need to eat more like a lower fat, higher starchy, higher carbohydrate, higher protein diet. If you're really, really fast and kind of in this faster metabolism state, you actually kind of do the opposite. So that's why it's really important to kind of know which way you are. That can actually help you off the hair tissue testing. So if you want more information on that, let me know. If you are interested in doing that testing, definitely reach out and I can talk to you more about how I incorporate that with or without the thyroid program. We can chat more about that. If you have any questions based off this video with eating style and things like that, let me know as well, and we can definitely chat. So again, if you're watching this on YouTube, I would love if you could do me a favor and subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so you get a notification every time I release a new video on Thursdays. And if you're watching this on Facebook and Instagram, share this and basically tag someone that you know would benefit from this information. That would help me as well. So any questions, again, reach out and we'll chat soon on the next video. Bye.